You're muted.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Prime Sports World. Here to bring you the Los Angeles Rams season preview. But before I start the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And in case you missed this live feed, you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. That is Apple Music, Samsung, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, TJ?
How you doing, man?
What is crack-a-lacking today, my friend? Here to bring, godly, we talked about it must have been torture to talk about the Cardinals yesterday, huh?
Actually, wasn't that bad. It was trying to be nice.
He said, I'm trying to be nice.
It really we talked about. I don't know if you listened to it yet, but we talked about the new head coach, and obviously the Cardinals isn't a hot coaching job, but it is only one of 32 jobs, and there's no guarantee that just because you interview for a job, you're gonna get that job.
Mm-hmm.
And I pretty much came with the conclusion that the new head coach, he pretty much is gonna get this year as a wash because he probably is not gonna have Kyler Murray, and if he does have him, he's not gonna have him for long. No DeAndre Hopkins. So it's really, it's a wash for that coach down there. So I read a way too early mock draft yesterday with David, and it's on Walter Football. That mock draft had them with the third overall pick, and they used that third overall pick on Marvin Harrison Jr. Bless you.
Excuse me, thank you.
And they had the eighth overall pick, and they used that eighth overall pick on the DN from Bama. I can't remember his name right now, but that's
I would have thought it would have been the DN from Florida State, Jared Verse. I would have thought it would have been that guy, but he might be gone by the time they pick at 8 because he's talking. They're talking about he's a top 5 pick, and we all know. I don't want to kind of get off the rails, but the best defensive player in the SEC is Harold Perkins Jr. from LSU. We've been talking about him since last year when he was a true freshman. So he's gonna be a sophomore, so he's not gonna be eligible for the draft. But it's gonna be interesting. But anyways, just a deep dive. They're a little bit better, ladies and gentlemen. The Rams are a smidget better than what the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, at least they have their quarterback. Whatever that's saying, because we don't even know how healthy he is in Matthew Stafford. But one of the storylines is, are the lack of draft picks catching up with the Rams? Now, David says this. I'm assuming it's first round draft picks, because they had a bevy of picks in this draft that just came up.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 2020, obviously, right? Like when you win that chip and you get on that podium, and the owner of the team he's wearing a shirt that says "F them picks," yeah, because you got that you got what you accomplished, what you set out to accomplish. But at the end of the day, F them picks became, hey man, we kind of need them picks real quick, like because they weren't able to replenish what they like. We already know Super Bowl teams get gutted. Super Bowl teams get gutted pretty fast, whether it's retirement, whether it's free agency, whether it's cap casualties. Like you got guys that move on for obvious reasons, and they got hit with all three. Like Wentworth retired, Von Miller left, and then it was a big domino effect. Matthew Stafford got hurt, and last season was ugly for them. Probably about the ugliest they've had since they moved to LA.
Losing Andrew Whitworth was big. I mean, he's a veteran presence. I mean, Aaron Donald almost retired after he won that Super Bowl.
Yeah, he
ended up coming back.
That was a little scared there. He's like, "Hey, Aaron Donald's mulling retirement." We like what?
And I mean, later on, we'll get to the free agency. I mean, they lost a lot in free agency. this past off season. So that's something to be talked about later on in the show. But you know, when I look at what they did with their draft picks this year, I think they landed. I think a lot of they got a lot of guys in. Right, they had a
Uh-huh.
crazy overhaul. I mean, they're inviting. I mean, somewhere up of what? How many picks do they have? 12, 30, something. It's over 10. Gotta be 8 to 10, something like that. So they invited a lot of guys into camp. I would say there's only probably half of those guys probably are going to stick on
Mm-hmm.
the team. But yeah, I mean, lack of. I mean, this is what I was telling a Rams fan this other day. I said, you know, like you just said, Matthew Stafford, winning the Super Bowl. That is the ultimate goal, right? You got your championship. Y'all haven't won a championship since what, 2001, when you guys were the St. Louis
Uh,
Rams.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, that
2000. I think it was, yeah, 2001, something like that.
greatest
When
show on turf, and that was a
yeah,
whole
yeah, the
different. That was
greatest
a
show on
whole
turf.
different. That was a whole different ownership group. That was
Whole different franchise, a whole different city.
a whole different game of football. Really, man.
Yeah, I
When you,
mean,
when you think about
yeah.
it,
Yeah, so I mean, winning the Super Bowl, I was telling this guy, I said, winning a Super Bowl increases, your worth, your franchise's worth. I mean, when the Rams won a Super Bowl, their franchise went up. I mean, in terms of the money, right? You know, teams
yeah.
were, the season ticket holders, they were back. I mean, they're filling the stadiums. I mean, like, guys, people were excited. The buzz was around the city. Okay, let's see if we could do it again, right? And they had all these injuries, but it increases your worth when you win a championship in any major sport. It increases your worth. So that was the ultimate goal, and it's kind of like, they pushed all their cards and their chips in the table. They betted and they won. You
They
know how
won.
many teams do we see put all their chips in the middle of the table and they bet and they lose, right?
Yep.
We've seen that many of times. We've seen that many of times. I mean, we've seen that. I'll give you an example. The Philadelphia Eagles, a few years, back when they had Vic and Vince Young was there and talking about they were a super
Mhm.
team. I mean,
Yep.
they got all these, they spent all this money. The Cleveland Browns, right? Went out and spent all this money and put all these guys around Baker Mayfield, and they
And
lost.
they
You know what
lost.
I mean? So it's just like there's teams that do this. They spend all this money, they give away all these picks, and they don't win the championship. And the Rams actually won one. So I think it was worth it. Short run, long run, no. But short run, it was worth it. Totally
Oh,
worth it.
I mean, if you, yeah, you take that trade off any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah,
You take that.
absolutely.
You take that trade. Hey, if you're gonna have no picks for the next handful of years, but you win a Super Bowl, you take that trade off, and you take it
Absolutely.
and you run to the bank with it, because you will forever go down as a Super Bowl champion, and nobody can take that away from you.
Nobody could take that away
So
from you.
yeah, is the lack of draft picks catching up with them? Yeah, I mean, because that's expected. They didn't have any for 2 years, two, three.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any, so that's what happens when you don't have any, and you're not you don't have cap space for free agency because all your money was tied up in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, who's now gone, and Von Miller, who's now gone,
Mm-hmm.
and Cooper Cup and Allen Robinson, who got a 3-year deal only because Odell Beckham got hurt. Like the contract that Allen Robinson got would have been Odell's had he not tore his ACL in
Absolutely.
in that Super Bowl against Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, like, and that's another thing with the Rams, right? In the last 2 years, they have lost very important pieces to that championship DNA, right? You
Yeah,
just mentioned OBJ. I mean, the first half of the Super Bowl, he was on track to
he
be the
was on
Super Bowl
track.
MVP. In my
MVP.
opinion,
Lot,
Andrew Whitworth, Von Miller, uh, you know, Matthew Stafford gets injured. Jalen Ramsey, he's gone now. You lose Wagner. I mean, you lost a lot of
Sony
guys. And
Michelle,
Leonard Floyd. I don't know. I
Sony
don't think Leonard Floyd
Michelle.
was Leonard Floyd on that Super Bowl team. I think he was on that
Yes, he
Super Bowl team.
was.
He was on that Super Bowl team. So you lost a lot of guys from that Super Bowl team, and so it's just like, now who's gonna step up for this team? So I guess I go into the second one. Is this going to be the final ride for Sean McVay, Aaron Donald, and Matthew Stafford if they don't,
Uh,
get it done this year? I guess make the playoffs or be competitive this year.
I think the Rams would be fools to let Sean McVay go.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as Matthew Stafford, I think Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald. I think I would be more so worried about Aaron Donald than I would be Matthew Stafford, because once those retirement talks start, it's real easy to keep them going and keep bringing them back up than it is to shut them down and be like, yeah, I got a lot left in the tank. I can play for X amount of years. Now, keep in mind, it ain't like Aaron Donald is. I'm not saying he's lost a step at all, but what I am saying is, hey, the beatings he takes on basically every play. Like, this dude sees double and triple teams every play. It ain't like he a quarterback where, hey, you gotta treat him, you gotta get him that princess treatment. You gotta treat him nice and easy. This man gets his ass kicked every play. So, is this the last ride? I mean, it depends. I mean, if this is a horrible season and like the wheels completely fall off, then that's a conversation that needs to be had, or it's gonna be had, because again, it ain't like you're in small town Jacksonville. No disrespect to the Jags. No, I'm serious. Like, it ain't like you're Jacksonville. It ain't like you're what's another one? It ain't like you're I ain't even say Seattle's a small market, because it's not. Like, it ain't like you're Cleveland, like small market like these are quote unquote small markets. Like, bro, you're LA. You're in LA. Like, if you're not good, fans don't show up.
They don't.
There's other shit to do in LA than go watch
just like Miami.
Just like there's other shit to do than watch a bad football team put a bad product on the field, and it's like, oh, the Rams suck. Oh, I can do something else with my Sundays.
Right, I could go shoot. I could go watch a Chargers game.
If they so choose.
No, like, we could go by the boardwalk. You know what I mean? Like,
I can go to Santa Monica. I can go to Venice Beach. I can do so much more with my fall Sundays. I can go to USC on Saturday and recoup Sunday, get ready for Monday. Or, like you said, I can go to a Charger game. Vegas is 3 hours away. I can go to Vegas.
Vegas is definitely 3 hours, 3.5 hours away, and they can go to Vegas and go see that. I agree with you about McVay. I said this. I know it's preseason, but how good did Stetson Bennett look? Right, he looked pretty damn good. I mean, you better look good being 6 years in college. Coming out of the pros. But Stetson Bennett nonetheless looked good. He looked like he had good command of the offense. He looked like he had a pep in his step, stuff like that. And so they're kind of like, if Stafford isn't ready to start the season, I think that kind of gives the Rams a little bit of, it relieves some pressure off of them that they might have a guy that can win them a couple games here, right, before Stafford comes back. Now, Aaron Donald, he might want to be traded after this season, right? Aaron Donald, he's not going to play many more years. He's got one Super Bowl ring, and for a defensive tackle, I mean, that's probably like that's the ultimate goal for everybody. But for him, he's probably like, I'm not going to have many more years left. And this team is not going anywhere. So I may want to go, play for another team that's a Super Bowl contending team, or a team that's going to contend, or I might put them over the top, in the Super Bowl. So, my thing is I think those other two guys, they're gone. I think if they have a bad season, I think they move on from Stafford. Aaron Donald requests a trade, and then I think Sean McVay, I think he ultimately stays. I mean, because he can only, play the cards that he was dealt, right? And if he's dealt a horrible. I mean, it's like when you're playing spades, right?
Yeah.
Hey, when you got two books.
Right, you ain't got no books. You ain't got no books. It's gonna be a long day at the office.
right. But I mean, it's not your fault. Those you got to play the cards that you was dealt, And so you
And
hopefully your partner got more books than you, but it ain't looking so good.
and
So
I think because of, like I said earlier, I think because of how the quarterbacks are treated in today's game, I think that allows a Matthew Stafford to extend his career longer than Aaron Donald would. And obviously, with Sean McVay, he could be like, I just need some time away. I can step away and then come back if I so choose. Because let's not act like if the Rams do let him go or he decides to just leave, let's not act like he ain't gonna. It's gonna be teams calling him almost immediately,
oh,
right?
absolutely.
So
There's a whole
Stafford,
bunch of people that I love to have Sean McVay
like,
as a head
oh
coach.
yeah,
The
you would
Dallas
just
Cowboys probably one of them.
you would
So
just have to ask yourself, like you would just have to ask Matt Stafford, like, hey, um, are you okay with like where do you think you are? Where do you think you're at this point in your career? Are you okay with? Do you think you can be a starter, or do you think you're ready to transition to that mentor slash backup role where, hey, rainy day, we can use you?
man, man, those spine. He's got a nasty spine. Was it a spine injury?
I think it was an
Um,
elbow.
was it an elbow?
I think it was
Oh
an elbow.
man. Yeah, I mean, man, I feel he got him one though. All those years in Detroit, we thought he wasn't never gonna get one, and then he actually went to
Well,
LA
no.
and he
Here's the
got him
thing.
one.
No,
So
here's
I'm,
the
I'm
thing.
actually happy if he retires tomorrow. I'd be like, okay, he's a Hall of Famer.
But here's the thing. Ain't no we thought he was like he was never gonna get one in Detroit. Ain't no thing. Ain't no thought about it. He was never gonna win a ring in Detroit. Let's call it what it is. All right. Like the offensive line they have in Detroit, the offensive line they have right now, Matthew Stafford wishes he had a portion of that in
Man,
his time. When you look at it, when you look at his time in Detroit, he had guys. It was just rare to have them all on the same team. Like when he had
hmm
Megatron, who was his number two?
Golden Tate.
When did they get Golden Tate? Golden Tate was in Seattle, won a ring in Seattle, and like when like was he there? Were they there at the same time?
They was, I think Golden Tate and Megatron were there at least a year or two. Had to be, had to be. Um, but like I said, I think Stafford up to this point, if he just decides to call it quits because he's just got too many injuries, I wouldn't be like I wouldn't be like, damn, like Phillip Rivers, damn, you know what I mean? Like, damn, Phillip Rivers, one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life, and he doesn't have a ring to show for it. Well,
Never
at least
even
Matthew Stafford got a ring to show for
and
it. You know what I'm saying?
Philip Rivers never even got to the dance, bro. Like he never even made it. Yeah, he never even got to the dance.
Not and
Oh,
how good was Phillip Rivers?
Phil,
Really freaking good.
yeah,
So that so I don't mind, like I said, I think Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford probably after this season they're gonna have some reality checks because this is not gonna be a great season for the Rams. I don't think I know this ain't gonna be a good season for the Rams. So with that being said, more concern for their secondary or the wide receiver core going into the season.
well, be, again, because of how the game is played, because of the focal point that is offense now, it's got to be the receiving core. Cooper Cup, yeah, you got a game plan for him. Who else?
Yeah,
What is
you exactly right. Van Jefferson, Ben Skoranek,
is
they're
Tutu
honestly
Atwell gonna step up and
Marcus Robinson.
like out Allen Robinson gone. He ain't that no more. He's in Pittsburgh.
No,
And
and we're talking about. I'm talking about Demarcus
I
Robinson.
know I'm
Demarcus
saying
Robinson. They used to. Yeah, you're right. Allen Robinson ain't there no more.
and ain't like it was a good year for him there anyway.
Uh huh.
Like so yeah,
I
Cooper
like the
Cup.
rookie though. I like the rookie Puka Nakua out of BYU. He's a rookie though.
He-
He's a rookie. So it's like, okay, Ben Skoranek, we saw spots where you were good. and then we saw weeks on weeks where you weren't good. Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson reminds me a lot of what's his name? MVS, right?
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of
Like,
MVS. I
bro, like
mean, he has
you
those
good,
crazy good games, and then he just kind of falls off a little bit.
like you good for one good route. You good for one go routed game, bro.
That's
Like
it.
that's it.
That's it. That's all Van Jefferson is pretty good, pretty much good for. So they're gonna dub. I mean, and then Tyler Higbee. I mean, you could throw him in there. I guess. I mean, he's not part of the wide receiver core, but I mean, you could throw Tyler Higbee in there as a weapon. I mean, he's the secondary. When you look at who's the secondary weapon in the pass game, it's Tyler Higbee.
Yeah,
No hands down.
it's the tight end. It's the tight end Tyler
It's the
Higbee.
tight
Yeah.
end. Yeah, because those other two
And
guys are just outliers.
for what it's worth, like obviously, Tyler Higbee ain't finna be no what you call it. He ain't Kelsey or Mark Andrews or Kittle. But if you in that 4 through 10 spot, hey, that's a good spot to be. All right,
Yeah,
like that's open competition right there. And Tyler Higbee again. So it's Cooper Cup, Tyler Higbee, fill in the blank. Hey, who it's they gonna have to do it week by week. All right, who gonna help us out this week, kind of thing. Like
and
they don't have a consistent third for
yeah,
that.
and
For that
then
spot.
and they didn't pick, and so they used their, and we'll get into their draft right now. But they used their early pick on Steve Avila, which they needed some offensive line help at guard, so that's good. He's versatile. But other than that, I mean, they didn't really have there were no wide receivers left on the board that really stood out in my opinion. So they had to go with possibly best player available at every spot that they had. So, but when I look at also, there's concerns at secondary too. I mean, both of them concerns. I mean, I honestly think the secondary is a little bit more concerning than the wide receiver core because you bring back John Johnson, which we'll get to that. I mean, very much we don't even have to go through their free agency because that's all they brought in free agency of worth. They lost more than what they got.
Yeah,
And John Johnson was, he coming back his second stint with the Rams. He's pretty reliable. The one season where he got hurt, it was like his last season or the second to last season with the Rams before he signed a deal with the Cleveland Browns, and he was pretty damn good with the Cleveland Browns. So that's like literally the only. I mean, Jordan Fuller at the safety spot, they're okay, but Akilo Witherspoon, Darian Kendrick, Kobe Durant, they're just average cornerbacks. I mean, you got Trey Hodges Tomlinson, who's a rookie, but he's small and he's the Thorpe Award winner coming out of
nephew of LT.
TCU. Yeah, and nephew of LT. So I mean, he's definitely going to be in row T, but he's a nickelback. And I could see him. I mean, I could see him making some good plays for them next year as a rookie. But I mean, this secondary is very concerning because I mean, you're going to go against guys. I mean, I haven't looked at their schedule yet. I mean, when we get there, but
It's gonna be
if I
tough.
look at their schedule and I'm like, look, fam, I got, first week, you got the Seattle Seahawks. You in Seattle. You got, you got three guys in Seattle that will burn your
Your
whole
entire
secondary.
secondary.
You got three guys in Seattle that burn your whole secondary. And then San Francisco don't get any better. Then you got Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase. It doesn't get any better.
Nope.
Then Philadelphia Eagles. It doesn't get any better. So your secondary is very concerning to me. Very concerning to me, more than the wide receiver core, because at least I know Ben Skoranek can give me some decent games. That he can make some game-winning plays. We saw him do that last year. At least I know Van Jefferson, he can take the top off the defense, and he's dangerous when he takes it. And we already know what we're getting out of Cooper Kupp. We don't know what the hell we're going to get out this secondary. But dust from the other wide receiver corps. That's what we're going to get from them is dust. So I am more concerned with their secondary than their wide receiver core, in my opinion. So, but both are very concerning to me. Both are very concerning. Moving on to the draft. We talked about Steve Avila getting picked in the second round. He's one of the best guards in the nation out of TCU. I think he's a day one starter. He's listed as their starting left guard right now. Third round pick, Brian Young. Was it? But David's got these super, like, I can't even read these things. Byron
Charlie,
Young, edge out of Tennessee. Then he's got Kobe Turner, defensive tackle out of Wake Forest. See, I like those two picks right there. Then Stetson Bennett in round 4. Stetson Bennett looks like Stetson Bennett looked good in the preseason game. I like that pick. Nick Hampton, edge out of Appalachian State. Then you just got like 4 or 5 fifth round picks. Warren McClendon, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Davis Allen, tight end out of Clemson. Puka Nacua, wide receiver out of BYU, who's going to get some tick. You got THT, Trey Hodges Tomlinson, 6th round pick. That's a steal for the 6th round pick. He fell that far. He was a Thorpe winner. He fell that far because of his size, but he's a hell of a football player. You got O'Shawn Mathis, edge out of Nebraska. Zach Evans is another good pick in the 7th round. Zach Evans could really ball out at the running back position, and he's listed as their 2nd or 3rd best running back on the depth chart. Ethan Evans, punter out of Wingate. Whatever, punter. And he's a punter. Yeah, he's a punter. He's a punter, right? So, and then they have a 7th round pick. I can't really see the 7th round picks, but they have their 7th round picks. They have Jason Taylor out of Oklahoma State, and then Deshaun Johnson out of Toledo. So if you had to give a grade for this draft, I mean, that's how many draft picks? Oh, my God. It's
1, 2,
10,
3,
11, 12, 13, 14. I was right. 14 draft picks. What do you give this grade? What's the grade for this draft class?
And keep in mind, this is a draft class. This is a draft class with no 1st or 2nd round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they did this with no 1st or 2nd round picks, man. And
they had the 1 2nd round with Steve Avila. That was it.
Oh, I can't see that. That's why. My bad. Excuse me, people. Excuse me.
You almost need glasses here. You almost need glasses to look at these graphics.
And I got glasses on. That's how small they are. But it's I mean, because they got what they needed. Like, again, they're a depleted team. They need all these dudes. There's no reason for why majority of these folks can't make the opening day roster. I can see Stetson Bennett as Matt Stafford's backup.
Absolutely. I think he's solidified as the backup already.
I don't see why not. I don't see why I don't see why THT can't, the NFL's version of THT. I don't see why he can't make the roster as another corner.
I don't see why he wouldn't be able to start as a nickel at some point this season. I mean, that's how good he was in college.
Avia should literally be a plug and play. He should literally, ain't no reason why he should, you're starting. Whatever spot we have on the offensive line that's open, that's yours. That's yours. And go from there. I mean, again, I ain't gonna say this season's a wash with them, because last season was brutal. Last season was brutal for them. And for them to get the hauls they got, I mean, Jalen Ramsey was a mid-season trade. It also wasn't going nowhere.
Byron Young's a nice little linebacker out of Tennessee, nice edge, 6'2", 250, ran a 4.43 at the 40.
Right,
he's first team All SEC.
Should play right away. All that good shit.
And he's listed as the starting left outside linebacker. Kobe Turner is listed as Aaron Donald's backup.
Yeah.
So these are guys. They drafted guys that are gonna play. I honestly, I think I have to give it just because of the value. I mean, they got a lot of guys that may not make the roster, but I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that are probably going to play for them next year and play a significant part in what they do next year. And I'm talking except for Stetson Bennett, because he's probably going to be a backup to Matthew Stafford. But depending on what Stafford's health is looking like, he may start some games, right? So, I mean, they got, Nick Hamilton. He's another guy, another edge. I mean, they got guys that are probably going to play next year. I got to give it a B, because in some spaces they did do good. Round 6 getting Tomlinson, I think that's a good pick. Round 7, getting Zach Evans, running back, I think that's a good pick. I think their first 4 picks, they knocked it out the park from what they were given. Avila, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Stetson Bennett, all going to play significant parts for that team. The first 4 picks, they're all going to play, especially the first 3, they're all going to get on the field. So I got to give it, I'll give it a B. I'm not going to give it a B plus or A minus because they don't have that guy that stands out to me. But I'll give it a solid B. They did what they could do with what they had.
With what they had.
Yeah, they did what they could do with what they had. And so I guess that moves forward to the go ahead, TJ.
No, and I'm not saying like you can't find diamonds in the rough, you can't find players in the latter parts of the draft. No, but those but those first round draft picks, like, because they're so lauded and lamented, I guess you can definitely see like what you call like a talent gap in between, but it's like for them to do for like a second round pick, third, 2/3, a fourth, a fifth. Yeah, they had what was that 4/5, a 6, 2 6,
2 6, 3 7, 4 7s,
and 4 7. Yeah, and you gotta do what you got to do. You gotta do what you gotta do.
You literally are just. I mean, you're literally. I could see what they were doing in their draft room. I mean, we gotta go best player available. After
after a while it becomes best player available. Because ain't
best player available. Best player available.
After a while it becomes that.
Yeah, and I think them going defense, like the first majority of the first half of the draft, getting the edge from getting the linebacker for Tennessee, he's going to start. Kobe Turner is going to be a rotational guy for Aaron Donald. Nick Hampton from Appalachian State's probably going to be a rotational guy, right? I mean, your first, you go defense, and Trey Hodges Tomlinson, you go defense because I mean, you lost a lot on defense, and I guess that moves into the next part is that you lost a lot on defense. You lost Jalen Ramsey, you lost Leonard Floyd, you lost Bobby Wagner, you lost Ashawn Ross. I mean, bro, you lost damn near your whole defense, man.
Yes,
like the significant parts of the defense, and you're leaving Aaron Donald there to just pretty much left out there to dry. Pretty much.
Like that meme of Will Smith standing in the Fresh Prince house all by himself after his family leave. Yeah, that's Aaron Donald right now. He just by himself, just holding down the fort.
I mean, like you lost some guys, man. You lost a lot of your team, man. And so I when I look at getting Josh Johnson, I think he's gonna be. He's a reliable guy. He's a reliable piece, in my opinion. I mean, John Johnson. I mean, they drafted him out of Boston College in the 3rd round a few years back. He played really well for them, and then he got his money and went to Cleveland, played really well. Now he's back in LA. So, but I mean, other than that, I mean, their free agency is an F. You lost.
Ain't no other way to put it.
Ain't no other way to put it. You lost your whole defense. Basically, you lost your whole defense. You could not re-sign none of these guys. You lost your whole defense. It's just to call a spade a spade. This is an F. This is an F.
Ain't no other way.
I don't know what they're gonna do. But I mean, there's not much to talk about the free agency. They only added one significant piece. I would talk about it, and I think it's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna be an uphill climb for this defense, man. It's gonna be an uphill climb for this defense. And I mentioned we go into the schedule next. I mentioned the schedule. Bam! Week 1, you start out in Seattle. That's a loss. That's a loss. Boom. You come home, you go to San Francisco. What about
that's a loss?
That's a loss.
That's a loss.
You're on 2. Boom, you go to Cincinnati. That's a loss. And then you probably get your first win in Indianapolis.
You get your first win in Indianapolis.
Probably get your first win in Indianapolis. Then you come back home and you lose.
Right. And then now few years ago, like literally 2 years ago, like these matchups would have been a must see TV. These all would have been 3:30 slash slash Sunday night or Monday night games. These are all prime time spots, especially in Seattle, especially San Fran, especially Cincinnati and Philly. And it's like now it's do I even want to watch? Like, do I even want to watch? That's like
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch it. I think they play Monday Night Football against Cincinnati. I mean, they don't have another primetime game till the end of the season. And that's Thursday night against New Orleans
and so you
at the
gotta
end of the
ask
season.
yourself, and you gotta ask yourself this again about the about all those teams that we consider contenders. How like because of the state that you're in, if you're the Rams, how long can you hang in there?
You know, I only see them in their first one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Is that 9 games? I think their first 9 games. I got them only winning 2 games.
The Colts, the Colts and the
The Colts and the
Cardinals,
Cardinals. Yeah, their first 9 games.
and the
I got
beat
them winning 2 games. They're two and
and
seven going into the bye week.
and to be disrespectful, David had the Cardinals beating the Rams yesterday.
Are you serious?
One,
I didn't even see I didn't go back and look. I'm gonna have to look.
ask,
I don't think that the Cardinals are gonna win. I think that they probably might lose every single ball game this year, but that's just me. They might win one, but that is crazy to have them only win 1 game. And I'm kind of on the fringe about the Indianapolis Colts. Them
I'm
being
not.
Indianapolis.
I'm
You're not
not.
okay.
No,
Okay,
I'm not.
I'm a little on the fringe because I kind of don't know like Anthony Richardson, like
No, I'm not.
how he's gonna how he's gonna come out hot. You know what I mean? Like if he comes out hot,
I,
yeah,
I
it
mean,
might be a long day for them trying to contain his feet,
the
contain him.
trial by fire method um, has a spotty track record, and now that we like, because when we did the Colts preview, we were like, "Hey, what's the plan? Is it Gardner Minshew? Is it Anthony Richardson?" Now we know. We have an answer.
Right.
It's Anthony Richardson. Now, what you can't do if you're the Colts, and not to get off track, what you can't do if the Colts, if that thing starts to go bad, you can't bench him. You can't bench the fourth overall pick.
Nope.
Can't do that. And so, yeah, they first. I'm gonna say I see three winnables: Colts, Cardinals, and I don't know which Steelers team gonna show up that week.
Oh, I know it's preseason, but Kenny Pickett looked really good in his first action of preseason. But it's preseason, so we'll see how he fares when there's more starters playing the second game in preseason.
Right. So we looking at what
2-7 going into the
2-7
bye week,
going into the bye. Right.
and then they come right out the gate, and they're
even
going
with the
back at
question,
home playing against Seattle.
even with the question marks about Jordan Love and all they're saying about him, and Colin Cowherd on his show talking about Jordan Love is looking like a game manager. Duh. What's the game managers win games?
Absolutely.
Game
I
managers.
mean, look at Jimmy G. He made a career out of being a game manager.
Being a game manager. Like game managers win games, bro. Like, yeah, I'm not finna put Jordan Love in his first year as a full starter.
Jimmy Garoppolo and Alex Smith both made careers out of being game managers.
I'm not finna put that young dude out there in his first year as a full-time starter in questionable predicaments and say, hey, man, hey, Aaron would have got us out of that. No, you can't do that. But 2-7 going into the bye, and then coming out of the bye, you get Seattle again.
and that's a loss. 2-8. And then they go into Arizona. I think they beat Arizona. So you're 3-8,
So you
and
got
then
them.
you got
You got them
yeah. I got
sweeping
them sweeping
Arizona.
Arizona.
I
I
have
got them
no issue
sweeping
with that. I
Arizona.
have no issue with that whatsoever.
I got them sweeping Arizona. So that's 3 wins right there. Um, and then they go
Cleveland.
home against Cleveland. Yeah, uh, Cleveland should win that game.
Cleveland should win
Cleveland
that
should win
game.
that
Like
game. Cleveland should win that game.
let's be respectful now. Cleveland should win that game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna the Deshaun Watson thing last year. That's Russ not playing football for damn near 2 years.
Right.
Cleveland, he's back in motion. Cleveland should win that game. And then you go into Baltimore, that's an L.
That's an L.
You come back home against Washington, that might be a winnable game for them.
Uh,
I'm gonna say they win that game.
nah, because I think see that's one again. A couple years ago, these two defenses versus one another, like a defense of Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and Jalen Ramsey
And
sounds.
Bobby Wagner.
And Bobby Wagner won there. Like, he wasn't on that Super Bowl roster. He came.
Oh
the
no,
year
no, yeah,
after.
he came the year after. You're right.
And yeah, versus a front of Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Chase Young, and Montez Sweat. That's that sounds way more entertaining because it's like, all right, which defense can come up with the most stops or the crucial stops or all that other good stuff. Now it's, man, Deron, hey, that Washington defense gonna make life a living hell because again, this offensive line is being held together by Scotch tape and prayer.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna agree with you. I think that is an L that they take
That's
against
that's that's
the
that's
Washington
Scotch,
Commanders.
bro. That's
Actually,
Scotch
gonna
tape.
agree with you.
That's Scotch tape and prayer holding that offensive line together, and you got a really good front in Washington. Like that's they don't
I
like
mean,
that's a front, like, bro. Like, they don't even have to blitz. They don't even have to do linebacker blitzes with because of their front. They can literally just
mhm.
rush four and make your life hell. Like
They
that's
are gonna make their life hell. I literally had to change that up because I'm like, wait, hold on. I forgot Washington still do got a nasty front seven. And and,
like
and, and LA just has a patchwork line. They're
Scotch
gonna
tape
have
and
a
prayer.
rough time. They're gonna have a rough time trying to cover those guys. And then the last 3 games, they play. They stay at home. They stay at home against New Orleans. Then they go to New York to play the Giants, and San Francisco to play the Niners. I think all 3 of those are losses. What do you think?
Saints, Giants, Niners. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
I gotta say they're all 3 losses at this point. At this
like,
point, all 3
man.
losses. They're 3-14 on the season for me. They're 3-14 on the season for
And I
me.
don't even. I don't even think they have a first round pick going into the 24 draft either.
They're 3-14 going into the end of the season, and I think Aaron Donald looks up and he says, "I need to get up out of here. I either need
I,
to retire or I need to go play for a Super Bowl contender because I can't go through more 3-win seasons like this." And I think they look up and they say, "We have to try and get rid of Matthew Stafford. We don't know what we're gonna get out of him. By this point, he might be damaged goods. If they only win 3 games, he's definitely damaged goods. I have to give him benefit of the doubt a little bit that maybe some of these games that we're calling L's are closer than what we think they are. But I
yeah,
just because they have Matthew Stafford, and company, but I just don't see them stopping anybody because literally their first 9 games, they're playing. I mean, besides Arizona, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, and
Pittsburgh,
possibly in
Washington,
Packers,
even
but I think the Packers that have they still have a solid running game. I still think that they'll put some points up in Lambeau. I mean, besides 6 of their first 9 games are against potent offenses: Dallas, Philly, Cincy, San Fran, Seattle, possibly Green Bay by week 8 or week 9. So I mean, is your defense ready or up for the challenge to go against some of those guys. And then Seattle again, Cleveland, Baltimore's a potent offense. New Orleans might be a potent offense. New York, we saw what they did. San Francisco, I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know what? I have a Rams buddy. I have a buddy that's a Rams. He tells like I talk to him almost every day, and he reminds me of why the Rams are going to be a playoff team. I'm like, dude, how do you
come to that conclusion?
How do you come to that conclusion that they're going to be a playoff team, bro? And like I think one day I kind of hyped his head up, and I was like, yeah, I could see them maybe winning 6-7 games. I could see that. I could see 6-7 games. Like, no, try again. 9-10 wins. I'm like, no, bro. Stop it. No. So, yeah, I think 3 wins. What do you got them at? 3 wins this season?
3 on the low end, 5 on the high, and that's being nice.
That's being generous.
So like,
I don't see them even winning 5 games.
It's kind of it's what we said, right? We both got them sweeping Arizona, right? So that's 2. The Colts is 3, and Pittsburgh is winnable. Washington is winnable, right? Like unless you consider one of the Seahawks games a split, and because you don't know if Geno Smith gonna slide back down to earth, which will probably be a talking point when we do them tomorrow, or whenever we do them.
That is definitely a talking point. If Geno does slide back down to earth, that is actually a good talking point. Because if he does slide back down to earth, I don't think it'll be week 1. Well, it might be week 1. That's the only time you might be able to shock him is week 1.
It's week 1.
Yeah, because then by week 11, when you have to face him again, and he actually gets his feet under him, and if he does start playing well or playing on the same level, you're messed up. Like you're. I mean, you got Geno Smith. I mean, you got Godly. Who's the big one? They got 3 wide receivers that are really damn good. They got a good running game. They had a great defense. Seattle is a tough team to play. So once Geno Smith starts getting acclimated, starts getting his feet under him, which I think by week 11 he should. I think Seattle will be definitely a dangerous team for them to play. Definitely.
And so you got Geno.
You got DK Metcalf. You got Jackson Smith and Jugwood. You got Tyler Lockett. You got I don't even know who the hell is their tight end now, but you still got Kenneth Walker. You still got then you got Zach Charbonnet. You got who else did they bring in Seattle? I know Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, running back from UCLA. I think he might be their backup. And then on defense, you added
no offense.
No offense still. Yeah, no offense.
Noah Font and Will Dissly Noah Font, Will Dissly, and Kobe Parkinson is a tight end room. And then, like you say, on defense, Tariq Woolen had just as good of a rookie year as Sauce Gardner. I think Sauce Gardner, like it's like the hype around him is like, hey man, we can't hype this dude up and not give him defensive rookie of the year, that kind of thing. But Tariq Woolen was cold. You still got Jamal Adams. You still got Quandre Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
You still you bring Bobby Wagner back. You got Boye Mafe, and you add my boy Devin with Devon Witherspoon.
Yeah, man. I mean, when I look at the Seattle, what Pete Carroll and the front office have done with Seattle, and when you guys start to talk about it, it's crazy. We going off the rails talk about Seattle Seahawks, but it's not. It's hard not to, because when you look at their team, it's like almost looking like the Legion of Boom Part 2. When you look at what they're doing there, now I ain't gonna say it is the Legion of Boom, because I mean Bam Cam was bringing that wood. So was Earl Thomas.
It's hard to replicate that, because again you can't even, and that's not what's crazy is that's not even that long ago, and you can't hit how those dudes was hitting now.
No.
Like think about that. Like that.
Can't do what they were doing, launching their bodies into
right. Like that's not even that's coming up on 10 years now. which is crazy because the Legion
Yeah,
of
they were
Boom
running
was
that old style of football
the
that you
Legion
can
of
just
Boom
like
was
rock
when
somebody.
Legion, yeah, the Legion of Boom that was
2013,
2013,
2014.
2013, 20, it's 2023. That's coming up on 10 years. It's like that's not even that long ago, right? And
Yeah,
it's like,
it
and
seems like it was yesterday.
seems like it was yesterday.
And it
You,
took them. It took Seattle a couple years to get to this point where they have a solid, where their defense is looking legit again.
no, oh
Given
yeah,
We were talking about Pete Carroll retiring because he's the oldest coach in the NFL. Pete Carroll is literally the oldest coach in the
the oldest
NFL,
coach in the
and he looks like he's the most spry coach in the NFL. The way he's jumping on
now,
the sidelines and running up and down
now,
the sidelines.
now to bring it back full circle,
Yeah,
we're talking about Pete Carroll retiring. We thought Pete Carroll was going to retire because it looked like, hey, you trade Russell Wilson. You didn't know you was going to get out of Geno Smith this past season. Um, you had 5 picks for the entire draft last year, and you hit on all 5 of them. That does not happen. That doesn't happen.
rarely happens. That's a rare
We
bird.
we talking about Pete Carroll retiring, and Pete Carroll never once gave a sentiment, gave a thought, gave a conversation to retiring. And here's Sean McVay contemplating retiring, and Pete Carroll got 30 years.
And he's one of the youngest coaches in the
Right.
NFL, if not,
Pete
I think
Carroll
he
got
might be the youngest head coach in the NFL.
Pete Carroll got 30
And his name was
years. Pete Carroll got 30 years on Sean McVay, and Sean McVay's talking about stepping away. And I
Yeah,
and,
and I think that's just being soft. I think Sean McVay kind of sees the writing on the wall there in LA, and I think with Sean McVay, I think it might be a lot of, you know,
no,
hey, Pete Carroll's
so
old school, bro. That
and
stress ain't getting to him. But Sean McVay, he's a new guy, man.
no,
The stress, man,
right, and to right,
getting to me.
and to that point, hey, this shit is stressful. This is a very stressful gig. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say it's not. Coaching in the NFL is very stressful. Is a very stressful, excuse me, very stressful job because you got 53 dudes, 53 grown ass men that you as a
Mhm.
grown man have to tell what to do. And I don't know about you, but you can't tell every grown ass man what to do. And you got to be very careful about how you do it because you say
Especially
something,
some of these grown men that are older than you.
especially some of these grown men, right, that are older than you, bro. Like you tell somebody you say something the wrong way to somebody, they liable to whip your ass. They don't care.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
hey, hey,
even like a Pete Carroll, like well, you ain't played a game. You ain't never been in my position. I could just see it.
I can see it right now. I can see it right now. So
You
like,
ain't played a game. Who you talking to? You ain't played a game. You ain't never put these shoulder pads on, coach.
so like, if you the Rams and you the Ram fan base, however fickle you may be, because you like, let's call it what it is. LA fans are fickle. Not ashamed to say it, and they shouldn't be disrespected by that comment. LA fans are fickle. You only go to the games when the teams are good. You only sell out Laker games because it's either when they're good or because it's LA and it's a tourism thing. You only go to the Coliseum to see USC for the same reason. When they're good, they got a good player, or it's a like, hey, it's just something to do. Let's go see USC. You disrespect the hell out of the Clippers. You disrespect the Chargers, and
They disrespect the hell out of the Chargers. The Chargers are the best ticket in town, in my opinion, other than the Dodgers.
other than the
They the
Dodgers,
best. They
and
the best ticket in town. So
so it's like, again, you're fickle. You're a fickle fan base. Like you can call yourself diehards all you want. No, you're fickle. It is what it is. Um, and your fan base, your loyalty is going to be questioned. It's 100% going to be questioned with a season like you're about to face. Again, you handle, and you should be able to, because let's just add for the caveat, since you've had Aaron Donald, let's not act like you've had more bad seasons than good ones. Right? Like let's be real. Like y'all are new to this thing called y'all were new to this thing called winning, right? And y'all caught y'all lightning in the bottle. Caught your lightning in the bottle. You had your two Super Bowl appearances, one under Jared Goff, one with Matt Stafford, one lost one, and now the bottle, the lid to the bottle got open, and the lightning's gone. So let's see how you handle going from 10 to 12 wins a season back to 3, 5, 7 single digit wins. Let's see how the fan base handles that. So
Absolutely. I totally agree with everything you just said. Because when the SHIT hits the fan,
when it hits
that's
the
when
fan,
that's what a loyal fan base is. I mean, I honestly I've literally seen with my own fan base, the Green Bay Packers, I've literally seen people say, "Oh, well, Aaron Rodgers ain't there. I'm not gonna be a Green Bay Packer fan no more." I'm like, "Oh, so you weren't really a fan. You was an
you weren't
Aaron
really a
Rodgers
fan. You was an
fan.
Aaron Rodgers
You
fan.
you wasn't really a
You want
fan of
to
the franchise. You was an
you
Aaron
want
Rodgers
to
fan." So
you want to talk about loyalty? You want to talk to anybody that's a Chicago Bears fan? Good,
yeah,
bad.
because they've had to endure 30 something quarterbacks while we only had two, three.
Like,
Now with Jordan Love, three. So, like, I mean, talk to a Detroit Lions fan, right?
talk to a
Then
talk to a Detroit Lions. Talk to a Dolphins fan. Dolphins fans have been chasing that damn Marino ghost for forever. Forever. Like they have been chasing Dan Marino's ghost since he walked out the door. They haven't had a quarter, and I understand that every Dan Marino's ain't don't grow on trees. I understand that. I understand it, but at the same time, yeah, if you the Rams, you gotta if you're a Rams fan, you gotta brace yourself for what's coming, and that's
yeah,
inside that locker room. I guarantee you, they talking with the best of them. They say, hey, we can run it back, we can win this, we can do this, we can do that. Why? Because they're supposed to
mm-hmm.
say that.
And like I said, man, when as a fan, it's not always as a fan of a franchise, and when it's lovely, it's good, but sometimes you're gonna hit a brick wall. Sometimes you're gonna have some down seasons, and that's what the LA Rams fans are dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And that goes for like maybe even a Packer fan as myself. We don't know what Jordan Love's gonna look like. I might have a couple bad seasons as a Green Bay Packer fan, but I'm still gonna be up watching my team, rooting for my team no matter what. I'm not going to turn into a Chicago Bears. I'm not going to turn into one of these a Philadelphia Eagles fan, or in the Rams in LA's case, I'm not going to turn into a Chargers fan. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just
Like,
or a Raiders
uh,
fan, just because the Rams suck. You know what I mean?
now
So
to your point, it's like everything ain't gonna be sunshine and lollipops. And if the sun ain't shining, at least give the team a damn lollipop. At least be like come on.
absolutely,
At least show you
absolutely.
there to support them in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. But anyways, man, we'll cook this up tonight, and we will be bringing you the Seattle Seahawks whenever they come. I believe the Seattle Seahawks will be tomorrow. But everybody, please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching the podcast. I know we had a couple viewers here. Shout out to Yoli Cruz talking about football. Thank you for watching the show, Yoli. But go ahead, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And in case you missed our live feed, you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. That's Apple, Amazon, Samsung, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, ladies and gentlemen. As Prime Sports World brings you the heat 24/7, TJ, and I do something different every time I lead a show. In case I miss you, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. See you guys again. I'll see you, TJ. You have a nice night, and sayonara, suckers.
I'll let you, man.